So enzymes, are critical in biochemistry. At the core of them is elements. A terpenoid is a big, long biochemical compound. It's a big compound. You don't get terpenoids and alkaloids and phenolics, plant secondary metabolites, until you've got lipids. You don't get lipids until you got protein. You don't get protein until you get carbohydrates. You don't get carbohydrates. You start with simple sugars. You start with simple things, and you build them, build them, build them, build them, build them. It's a process. You start with, C6H12O6. Do your math. How many elements is that? 24. How many atoms? How many atoms is that? That's 24 atoms, not elements. It's 3 elements. 24 atoms. A terpenoid may have 24,000 atoms in it. It's a big compound. There's a bunch of screwing together stuff that has to happen. A bunch of different ingredients. It takes a lot of work to take simple compounds and put them together. That work in nature is done by the microbes, right? Plants don't take into their bodies simple ions of calcium, simple ions of potassium. They take into their bodies these already biological compounds. They're screwing together, 500 element compounds to make that terpenoid in nature. If you start with simple ions, if you start with 1 atom here, 2 atoms there, 2 atoms here, 2 atoms here, and you got to screw them all together to get a 24,000 element compound or atom compound, that's a lot of work. Without life actually feeding the basic ingredients to the plant doesn't have the energy to build the high levels of those compounds. Everybody get that? If your focus is quality, if your focus is these aromatic, flavor, nutritional, medicinal compounds, if that's what you're actually trying to do, not, there's quality of life, there's paying the bills, there's all kinds of other stuff too. But if really what it's about is that, it's foundational that you do it in symbiosis with life. One of the pieces of the puzzle here is elements. I talked about sea salt. We can talk about it in greater detail. I talked about rock dust. We can talk about it in greater detail. There's other things you can use. People may have heard about azomite, or maybe they've heard about Redmond salt. Azomite is rock dust. Redmond salt is sea salt. You can pay $50 a bag for Redmond salt, or you can pay $2.50 a bag for Kansas salt. It's still salt. You can go to the ocean and get some seawater, and you don't need to pay anybody. Oh, I have to go to the ocean. Oh shit, that's farm work. That's on the clock, right? We're gonna go harvest some nutrients. Same as going for a walk to get the microbes. This is farm time, right? I'm working. Establishing microbiome, I have to go for a walk. If you want to think about it right, you can figure out that actually quality of life, can be easily integrated into this process. We understand that right now, where culture's at, people act based on money to a very large degree. So we can have all of our spiritual, philosophical, political ideals, but if we can't ground a strategy based on visceral self-interest, economic drivers, then we're probably spitting in the wind. The things we're made out of, the biochemistry, the compounds, the DNA, the nutrients, they're all vibrating. You are vibrating constantly, right? The question is, are you vibrating like that elementary school band concert, or are you vibrating like that a cappella choir? So the mission of the BFA is to increase quality in the food supply. And that means that the ambient level of food next year is better than the ambient level of food right now. And we understand we get new bodies every 6 months, so that means if we increase the quality of the food supply, that means we increase the coherence in the humans. That means we address systemically this broader dis-ease dissonance. If you understand that most of reality is not on the physical plane, and you understand harmonics, if you can get your physical plane to be vibrating in tune, then it becomes easier to ground those higher octaves of reality. And I would say, from a political standpoint, from an economic standpoint, from an education standpoint, from a environmental standpoint, where do you want to look at the dissonance and rail against it, fight about it, get depressed about it, give up. Like, I would suggest, because we are vibrating dissonantly, all of our forms are out of tune. Our forms of our culture, our economics, our politics, our media, these are representations, these are obvious effects of our dissonance, right? If we're out of tune, we engage in out of tune activities. 15 minutes, 11:15. They say if you're gonna, yeah, okay.
The next town over from you. I grew up in North Brookfield.
Okay, beautiful. Hey, good to meet you.
Myself, great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You still live in North Brookfield?
No, I live in West Warren now.
Okay.
The town's over.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
not too
yeah.
much farther from the area. So
Nice.
Same region, so nice to meet somebody local.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Good to go.
So I have one thing that you're proud that I was making notes back there. I'm like, do you want us to ask questions when they come up? Or do you want to wait?
I mean, I usually actually am a very interactive. I don't even start until I have questions for 10 minutes. I'm watching you rock it over here.
Oh my God.
I'm watching you back there. She's like up and down, and she's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know all the points. I just want to check and see if the recording's happening or not. Yes? Okay, cool. I don't think I said it, but I've been working on this question of nutrition, and nutrient density is a term we've helped to coin and popularize for the last 10, 12 years now. I work for an organization called the Bionutrient Food Association. Our mission is to increase quality in the food supply. And there's a lot we're doing with the movement, and we've got a little spectrometer, a little handheld flash of light meter. It's proof of concept right now. It's pretty rudimentary, but I think the implications are quite significant. I could go into a full hour and a half or 2 hours on that topic. I'm not going to right now because I don't think that's the agenda for this conference. But I do want to say that is, part of what I'm up to and doing, and if people do know about it or have questions about it, I would say feel free to bring that up as well. But really, as I understand the intention of this event, it's really to support growers in doing a better job, in working more well with nature. So I don't think I got to that point when I was doing my personal introduction. So that being said, I saw a couple of hands go up quick over here.
Yeah, the picture you painted with the huge greenhouse assembly, complex chain thing was so beautiful. I have built a greenhouse, 30 by 70, and that was really stuck home for me. I was wondering, what do you like to use for irrigation in a greenhouse? Mm-hmm. Do you prefer to completely hydrate the entire 30 by 70, square foot area?
Yeah. So. then you're sensitively looking and selecting. You know, there's some crops that do more well in a dry environment, some do well in a cold environment, some do well in a... We want to be harvesting the seeds from all these pieces of the range and then planting them all and letting them, you know,